Hi, and welcome to another Zimplex podcast. Today we're talking to Elmien, a mom of 4. I think she has a lot to share with us today. Elmien, can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your family?
Sure. I'm Elmien Geldenhuis. I live in Jeffreys Bay, a lovely coastal town. I have a very, very busy household, 4 children and my husband. So it is 6 of us living together. And my kids stretch from being a toddler, my baby is 4 years old, so we're just getting to the end of toddlerhood. And my oldest son is almost 17. So we have from little to big and everything in between.
That is super interesting. I'm sure a lot of moms have many questions. So let's unpack this situation. Tell me, when it comes to health, what are some of the most important things in your household?
Okay. For us, rule number 1 is immune support, specifically for my 4-year-old, because she still goes to play school, and that is the biggest place where germs seem to just, live. And so specifically for her, it's important to me that we make sure that she doesn't bring things back home, because then we have a whole big sick household and then it's chaos. So my biggest thing is to make sure that we don't even get there. So I'm very pro supporting immune systems, making little bodies nice and strong. And then also when they do get something, they're strong and their bodies can fight it.
That's wonderful. And tell me, how about healthy eating habits? How do you manage that in a household with a toddler and a teenager?
The only answer to that is planning, because that I have learned that if I fail to plan, I am planning to fail. They eat very different things. The bonus is that my oldest son is starting to look after himself. And for anyone who has teenager sons, I don't know if this is a general thing, but they're all about gymming and muscles and everything. So he's my easiest child actually to keep healthy, because he wants to be healthy in this season. The rest of them need a little bit more encouragement, but if I make sure I buy the things that is healthy and that they like, our chances of success are better. But to be real, I am the mom who pops chicken nuggets into the air fryer pretty often, because sometimes having food in our bodies is better than nothing if we're not that prepared. So chicken nuggets are semi-healthy in my opinion.
Well, you know what? I can relate to that, especially on weekends where things are just a little bit chaotic. You're out, you're going, you need to make a quick lunch. I always think, okay, if I give a chicken nugget, then a yogurt dip, and maybe some apple, if we can sneak it in there. And that's how I make it better for myself, at least in my mind. But tell me, what type of snacks do you bring into your home? You're telling me that you've got the right snacks that everybody likes, but it's difficult to have a toddler and a 17-year-old. So, and in between, I'm not forgetting the others in between.
Others in between. So I always have a huge bowl of fruit. That is a big thing in our house. And I try to have variety, because the one kid likes the banana, the other one likes the orange. So I always have a fruit bowl of variety, and my kids tend to grab that. And you now speaking about yogurt dip, I have a simple rule also in our house. Like if it's close to dinner time, then my kids are not allowed to snack on anything other than fruit or yogurt. So if they're really hungry, they are going to choose something healthy. Then things that's easy to eat if it comes to veggies, like carrots that's already pre-cut, or small tomatoes or things like that, goes far. So I always make sure to have that in my house. And then nuts and seeds. My one son really loves nuts and seeds. And what I've seen is that if it's there and he takes it out, the others will eat with him. They'll not necessarily go for it, but if it's there, that's what they're going to take. And then I spoil them with fruit rolls. So that's extra sugar, but they seem to enjoy that. Yeah. So
that's really interesting.
And of course, protein. Like all my kids love biltong. So that's not something we always have in the house, but I always see if there is something like druives or biltong, then that is something that they will gravitate towards.
That's really good. I like the fact that you've got a fruit bowl where your kids can just pick for themselves, and they become used to seeing fruit as part of the household. And I think that it's fun for the toddler to go and pick his own fruit. I think it's a nice activity. So that's a decoration, because it looks beautiful and it reminds us all to be healthy. Tell me, are you a working mom? You stay at home mom? Tell me a bit about that.
So I have quite a few balls up into the air. I think I recently discovered that I'm ADHD and I'm loving every moment of it. So it does explain a lot about my kids as well. But I have multiple jobs that I'm doing. So I'm trained as a physiotherapist, so currently still working as a physiotherapist. But then also I do some sideline digital marketing, and then of course a lot of time with the kids and looking after the household.
That's a job on its own.
Yeah, so yes, I am a working mommy.
Wonderful. Tell me, how do you balance that lifestyle? I mean, we had another mom on the show, on the podcast shows, and I think one topic that comes up a lot is the guilt that we feel when we're working. And how do you balance that as a mom today with 4 kids?
You find someone with the perfect answer, then I will grab that and hold on to it, because that truly is hard. I think the biggest thing that I have learned is not to get myself into the mom guilt, because then I'm not the best version of myself whenever I am with them, because I'm feeling guilty for when I wasn't with them. So I think the first thing I did was just to unpack that for myself and go, this is how it must be. For now, I'm doing the best I can with the time and the resources and the energy I have available. And this is good enough. Of course, my kids moan and complain and they want more time with mommy, but I've also learned that they'll get 24 hours with mommy and still want more. So I've stepped back far enough to realize that I might never be able to make them happy. And once I've released myself from that, suddenly having to take the time to do my work is not such a big deal anymore. My work that I do in the mornings when they're at school, working as a physiotherapist, that's the easy part, because that's scheduled and that happens when they're not there. The harder part is the digital marketing part, where I have to find time that's in afternoons or evenings. And also what I've learned is planning with that too, actually putting the time into my diary and being open with that. So I go and I show my kids, I'm like, this is the 2 hours that mommy put into my diary. So I know you guys are around and you want to have fun and you want to have mommy, but mommy really need to do this, and then I'll put my things down and then I'll move on, and then it's playtime. So scheduling and making that open for the kids to see, so that they're not constantly just hearing, no, mommy can't, mommy is busy working, no, mommy can't, but that they know there's a schedule and we follow that. And hopefully that makes them successful adults too, seeing that play and work is important in our days.
I really like that. I think that transparency and treating them like adults and giving them the respect of, like you would give a friend anyway, like you would tell them, look, I can't see you because I've got this booking. So you're treating your kids the same, just with that respect and with that kindness. So this is where mommy's going to be. This is what my schedule looks like. But I have playtime for you. You just have to give me a little bit of time. We'll get there. I think that's quite nice. I think there's another topic we had discussed about healthier lifestyle, and the mom on board, Lisa, she was discussing how she taught her children to identify why they need healthy foods. And I think that theme of respect and autonomy goes a long way with them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good one. If you guys have some comments or some ideas on how we can go about this, remember to leave it down in the post. In the meantime, I wanted to ask you, go back to that idea of immunity. Because you said something I think that resonates with all of us. When one of us comes home sick, or if the toddler comes home sick, then we know it's going to take a routine around the house. Tell me, what's helped you with immune support?
Okay, so I've always found that probiotics and then the right minerals is very important. And interestingly enough, my first child was really young when I asked another mummy for what's the best advice. And she said, you just get yourself a good vitamin. And we actually started with a Zinplex syrup, which then was something that we just pulled through. And I found that with good probiotics is what works very, very well for our household and to keep everyone, their immune systems going as good as they can. And what I have seen is nice is it is something, and it's almost a habit that you start when they're young and they kind of grow with it and grow into it. And it's almost become like my fruit bowl, something that is part of our household. So there's a routine where my kids know just as it's time to go brush their teeth, we're going to take our vitamins. And so it works. They like it. They enjoy taking it, and it helps to build their immune system so that we don't have that case of the 4-year-old coming home and everyone now being sick.
Wonderful. wonderful. I like how it's part of your routine. It's part of your everyday life. Your kids understand why. You explain it to them. You give them yummy supplements,
Absolutely.
which is important.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And then any tips you would offer? I mean, I admire you. I've got one son. My son is 2 and he's already like, it's a handful. How did you do 4? Any tips out there for the moms?
I think, well, what I've realized is there's such a difference in having 4 kids under 5 years old and having 4 kids spread over 12 years. So there's definitely context to that, because when the smallest was born, the one closest to her was 6 already. So they could make their own sandwiches and do their own thing. So it's hard to give moms tips because not everyone, even who has 4 kids, is the same. But I try and make my kids self-sufficient very young. So even with my youngest 4-year-old, I think she's the youngest that I've allowed to have a sharp knife and cut with that. And I stayed with her, obviously. I didn't allow her to just cut things by herself. But the sooner I know my kids can handle something means the sooner I can just stand back and allow them be. So I think my tip would be not to be the mom who is too involved, who is doing too many things for their kids. Yeah, because they can do things for themselves and they're going to be adults eventually. And so I prefer a parenting style where I stand back a bit. So with schoolwork, with things at home, all of that, I'd rather have my kids fail now while I'm there, being able to help and pick up and put pieces together again, rather than to be so involved with all 4 of them at the same time that I burn myself out and they become 18 and want to go into real life and not know how to do it because mom's just been there too much. So that does make me the mom who maybe pushes my kids a little bit too far too quickly, but it means that I'm the mom that can look after myself because my kids do more things for themselves. But it's also not a guarantee, because I don't think anything with kids is a guarantee, but the chances are good that they're going to be successful adults. So I think my top parenting tip is hands off.
That's very interesting. And I think for like a lot of moms, especially with our first kids, we tend to be like helicopter moms, like what's going on? But we need to remember that they are going to be adults. The whole point of raising them is so that we raise them to be self-sufficient, responsible, and hopefully kind adults as well. So we need to let them fail, like you say, let them fail with us so that when they go into the world, they know what to handle. So that I really, really like that tip of advice. I'm going to take it into heart myself.
But it's hard. So you have to know that it's hard a lot of days. Like this morning, we stopped at school and my 2 primary school sons both realized that they have orals today, which they haven't adequately prepared for. And my heart wanted to break and just salvage the situation. And I just put a smile and then said, well, I hope we learned something. And they jumped out and they had to go face their day without being properly prepared. And it's hard for a mom. So know if you're going to try it, it's hard. But you bite on your lip and you get through it. And next time they'll remember to do their homework.
You know what I'm hearing to you? Listening to you, and what I'm listening is that for you, it's the process, not the outcome. I think
absolutely.
For me, I would be stressed as like, is my son going to fail? Let me quickly prep him. But you're okay. It's like you might not get the best mark, but the lesson that you learn from this is going to last you much longer.
Absolutely.
Than the mark you would have gotten today. So that's a really interesting perspective. Good to know, hey? Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, we hope to see you on our podcast again. I'm sure we have a lot to learn.
Thank you. I'd love that.
Thanks, guys. Remember to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Leave any comments with us if you want. And obviously, you're more than welcome to reach out with comments, suggestions, and we'll do our best to accommodate and respond. Anyway, stay healthy and enjoy your day from Simplex.